Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and in this video, what I want to do is a quick and dirty Git crash course. You are supposed to already have this knowledge coming into this certification, even though they kind of suggest that you do and you don't. This is not going to be a complete crash course. It's just going to be the least amount of knowledge we need to know in order to be able to be productive in GitHub. You really do need to make sure you know Git very well and should look at other additional resources to go beyond this little component, but it'll be good enough. We did create that repo, or I created that repo earlier in Exam Pro. And I think that's a great place to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and log into my other new account. So over here, and I'm going to go and make my way over there. So I'm going to type in / exam pro co up here. I'm going to look for this new repo here. And the reason I'm doing this, normally I would just open it in my regular account, but what I want to do is I want to show you how to fork, and then we're going to do some work in here, and you'll commit it to your own repo, but what I will do is I will end up bringing those changes over into the original repo, okay? So anyway, the way we're going to get started is there's a few ways. We can go ahead and open up github.dev, or we can open up Codespaces. So Codespaces is one way of doing it, which gives you a full environment that will have a terminal. But probably the easiest way is to open up github.dev. So anyway, the first thing I want to do is go over here to fork and fork this repo. That's going to make a copy of it and have a reference to it. So I'm going to go and click that. And notice it'll pre-fill the name in. Make sure it stays the same. It says copy in the main branch only. That's all there is right now, and that's what we're going to do. So we'll create that fork, and now we have GitHub GitHub examples, and notice under our name we have it here. It shows that it is a fork. So I want to open this up in github.dev. Github.dev is an IDE that does not have any compute attached to it, and it makes it really easy to start working with files. This is new. I don't remember the sync fork being here. That's really nice. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to press period on my keyboard. So I press period. Oops, sorry, I hit / period. And what that's going to do, it's going to open up github.dev. Okay. And we'll give it a moment. And I think that we can do stuff in here. If we can't, we'll have to open up a developer environment like GitHub Codespaces. But I'm hoping that we can use this initially because we can write commits in here. So this is open. And we have our README file, and on the left-hand side, we have this GitHub icon. So this is obviously an extension installed specifically for GitHub. But if we don't have a terminal, we're not going to be able to do a whole lot here. So we could commit stuff over here, and maybe we'll start with that, and I'll just show you how to do it with the GUI. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this Git Crash Course. Okay, and in here, well, I'm gonna name it lowercase. I actually prefer when they're lowercase. Git Crash Course. And there's a few things that we want to cover. Okay, so I'm gonna make a new file here. I'm gonna just say readme.md. And a couple things. I want to cover commits. I want to cover branches. I want to cover remotes. I want to cover stashing, because I think that's really useful. I guess merging is something that would be really important. And so I think that's sufficient enough to begin with. And whether we'll do this in order, I'm not really sure, but we'll start at the start. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and create a git commit. And we're not doing this programmatically. We're just going to start out by doing this over here in the source control. So source control is a built-in extension in VS Code that allows you to basically write commit messages. It's really simple. So what I'm going to do is just right here and say create skeleton readme for Git crash course. Okay. And so I have my commit message, and notice that we have changes that are staged. So changes can be either staged or not staged. So if I right click this here, I can click stage changes, and now it's up here. So what's the difference between being up here and being down below? Well, when I go ahead and click commit and push, it will only take the stuff that is from the stage changes. Anything else will be left behind, because sometimes you're working with a lot of files, and you don't want to commit them all. Okay, so that is the reason for that. But the idea is that you can hit minus and plus and move them back and forth. So hopefully that is very clear. We can click on a file and we can see the difference in changes. This is a completely new file that we're adding. So we're basically having stuff that's added, and prior there was nothing. So it's showing that on the left-hand side. And we are ready to do something with this. If we drop this down, we can have commit and push. I've never clicked on this before, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and click commit and push. And so what it's done is it's committed it and it's pushed it up. Normally, you'd have to perform those as separate actions, okay? But we'll talk about that when we start using the terminal. So now that we have pushed that up, what we can do is click on this little icon, or maybe not. What I'm looking for is a visualization for our tree. Here it is, view as tree. And that's not helping, okay? So I guess that doesn't do what I thought it would do, and that's totally fine. So what we'll do here is we'll go back and open this up in GitHub, the repo. So I'm just trying to find if there's like a short way to do that. No, there's not. So we'll have to go ahead and type in GitHub. I'm going to have to type in my name, Andrew W.C. Brown. This will be GitHub examples to get back to this repo. And we can observe that we've pushed that commit. So if I go here, you can see our git commit. We can click into it. We can see our git commit. We can comment on stuff here. So I can say, this looks great. All right. Add a single comment. And so that should be pretty darn clear. We have a commit SHA, so that's over here. There should be some way to get the full SHA. I'm not exactly sure where it is because I can see parts of it. A lot of times if we click into here, it might show it here. So if we go here, I could copy that, go back here. I could get the full SHA, right? Okay. But what I'm realizing is that github.dev is not going to be able to do what we needed to do, which is to work with git command. I knew it didn't have a terminal compute attached to it, but I thought maybe it might have git commands, but it doesn't. So that's okay, but we can use this as a means to quickly edit files. But what I want to do is go ahead and close this out, and we'll go back over to our code. And what we'll do is we'll launch up GitHub Codespaces. So GitHub Codespaces has a free tier, and that's what we'll be utilizing. Okay, I'm going to try to find the pricing here if I can. And I'm not exactly sure where the pricing is, but that's totally fine. We'll go ahead and open up a new Codespace on main. There's a whole section of Codespaces in the course, so we will come back to this and cover it in more detail. So we'll give it a moment to launch up. It is spinning up a virtual machine underneath. So that's why we have to wait a little bit. Or if it's not spinning up a virtual machine, it's spinning up a Docker container on existing virtual machines. That's probably what it is. And so now we get a terminal, and that's going to allow us to interact with GitHub using git commands. So I'm going to go down to the bottom left corner here. I'm going to change my theme because I cannot stand working in a light theme. And I'm going to change this over to something that is dark. So I'm going to go to GitHub Dark. And so this is a little bit easier to read. We can also increase the font here if this is hard to read. I'm going to do that by going to settings. And I'm just going to bump up the font here to 20 for font size. And I'll do the same thing for terminal. So I'm typing terminal in here. And I'm looking for font size. We can also just type in font. Sometimes it's a bit tricky to find. Terminal font. There we go. And we'll turn this up to 20. Okay, so that should be a lot easier to read. So I can go in here, I'll click into README. Now this is gonna come pre-installed with Git. If I type in Git, it should be here. Okay, so I didn't have to do anything, it's already installed. I'm not covering how to install Git on your local machine. I'm gonna be doing everything in the cloud developer environment because it's just easier and I don't want to work through all those challenges of trying to show you how to do that. So normally what you'll do is when you start working with a repo, you're going to clone it. Now this repo has already been cloned because we opened it up, but let's say it hadn't been. Let's go ahead and just do that ourselves. So what I want to do is I'm going to just cd back a directory and type in clear and type in ls, and we're going to see where we are. So right now we're in workspaces, okay? I'm just going to make a new directory and just call it temp. I'm going to cd into that. And what I want to do here is I want to take the first step into bringing in this repo, okay? And the way we're going to do that is by going back over to here, and we're going to go over to code, and we're going to go to local, and then we have these commands. We have HTTPS, SSH, and the GitHub CLI. And so these are ways that we can bring in our repo, okay? And so the most common way is by using SSH, where you will actually have to add a public key, and we can do that. The second one is HTTPS, where you'd have to use your personal access token, and there's the GitHub CLI. And this, I think, is probably the way we should do it in the future, but we're just gonna work any way we can here. So what I'm gonna do is go back over here, and we're gonna go all the way to the top, and we're gonna talk about cloning, okay? So we have 3 ways to clone. So we can clone 3 ways. HTTPS, SSH, and GitHub CLI. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with HTTPS. So we'll go over here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in git clone. I'll write it in here so we can copy it out. But this is going to be git clone, and I'm going to paste this in. Okay. And since we're working in Markdown, and that's part of the course, you have to learn how Markdown works, I'm going to put 3 backticks and put an MD here. Okay, you should do all this because we're just learning everything up front. If you're wondering what the backtick is, it is a character that's above your tab key. Let's see if I can find it for you here. Backtick key. And it's this key right here. Okay, so notice that there's a backtick. It's a tick that goes back. And so that's what I'm pressing. I'm pressing 3 of those. And the reason I'm doing that is that it will then render that out. It's actually not MD, it's just SH. I don't know why I did that. And if you go up here in the top right corner, we can preview all the stuff we're working on for our documentation. But anyway, this is the first command that I want to run. So I'm just going to go up here. We'll make a directory, since we are using GitHub code spaces. We'll create a temporary directory in our workspace. Okay, and so that's what we did. So that's going to be, SH stands for bash. I mean, it's not exact, it's shell or whatever, but it's pretty close to it. And so what we did there is we typed in mkdir/workspace tmp, and then we're doing cd workspace tmp, okay? And then the next thing we want to do is clone this repo, so I'm going to go ahead and attempt that. So it really matters whether the repo is public or private. If it is public, then we don't need any credentials to clone it. But when we want to push it back up, that's a different story. So I'm just trying to copy that. This is a bit finicky, the copy paste here, Command V. And it's not letting me paste it. I'm going to try this again, copy. There we go, right click paste. For whatever reason, from here to here, it didn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And so I'm actually cloning from here now. Now we have this is attached to that other location. So just ignore this for now. We're going to pretend this doesn't exist. And we're just going to strictly use the git commands to do everything. So we've cloned this. I'm just typing clear. And what I want you to do is type in ls-la. So what ls-la does is it'll show you all the hidden folders. And we don't have any yet, but we're going to have to cd into this directory. So I can go ahead and type in GitHub examples, right? And so what we'll do is just type in cd GitHub examples. And so now we're in this directory. And I'm going to want to type in ls-la. And so I'm showing you here that there is a hidden folder called .git. This is how it knows that there is a GitHub repo. Okay, so I'm going to go up here for a second. And we'll make another thing. So we'll just say GitHub, or sorry, git hidden folder. So there is a hidden folder called .git. Which tells you that your project is a Git project or a Git repo, okay? And normally what we would do is we create our Git repo outside of this. So if we wanted to, we'll cd back here. I know this is a mess, but I told you it'd be quick and dirty. Is that if we wanted to create a new repo, we could actually go ahead and just type in git init in a new folder. So, if we want to create a Git repo in a new project, we'd create the folder and then initialize that repo using git init. Okay, so what we would do here, try and get those backticks here, git init, because we're using code, we always use backticks for codes. So what we would do here is we'd create a new folder. So we'd say mkdir/workspaces, and then we would say temp, new project, and then in here we'd have that new project. So we'd cd into it. So we just say workspaces, temp, new project, and then we would do git init. We'd create some files. So we'd say touch, make a new file. So we'd say readme.md. Then we could open that file up. So I could say open readme.md. Then we'd make some changes to it. So make changes to readme.md. Then we could commit this. So we'd say git commit -m -m-a, sorry, -a-m. So add readme file. All right. And so let's do a little bit of that right now. So I'm going to say mkdir. I'm going to say new project. Okay. And then I'm going to go git init. It initializes a new Git repo. And we end up with this .git folder here. Okay. And then we could touch a new file. So we'll say readme.md. And then if I want to open that up, I probably can type in open.md. I would imagine that it would open up in here. It didn't. What if I type in VS Code? VS Code, readme.md. No. How do you open files in VS Code from terminal? I thought it was just open. Terminal, command. What is it? There must be like a command. Code, I think we type code, that's what it is, code. Okay. I usually use Vim, so this is not my primary editor. So we open that up and I can say hello world. Okay, we'll save that. I'll type in clear here. And now what we can do is we can type in git status. So we can see what's going on here. So we'll say git status to see what files are being tracked or untracked. This is the exact same thing as this thing here. When you're typing git status, this is what this is right here. That's your git status. Okay, so we have files that are tracked, but nothing's staged. So we can do git add all. Okay, I guess I missed that there. Git add all. Take this part out here because we don't need it. And it says you've added another Git repo inside your current repo. We'll just ignore this because it's just confused because we have that other repo. We'll type in git status. And notice now these are changes to be committed. Okay, so the idea is that these are going to be the things that get pushed. Let's say we didn't want to add in GitHub examples. We definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to say git remove GitHub examples, git status. Didn't really work. That's okay. We can say, sorry, git. I didn't mean to do remove. I meant to say git type in reset. Sorry, git reset, git status. There we go. So reset will put them back in here. I actually only wanted to add that. So git add readme.md. Okay. So go down here. You'll say git add readme.md. And while we're on it, I'm going to have to go and just say reset. Git reset. So reset allows you to move changed files back to untracked files, or staged changes to be unstaged. Okay. This is useful when you don't want to, when you want to revert all stage change, all files not to be committed. Sorry, I know it's a bit messy, but the idea here is that we're going to go here. We'll just say git add all, git reset. So I'm going to go here and just say git reset will revert a git add all. Okay. We have add. So this is git add readme.md, git add. When we want to stage changes that will be included in the commit, we can use the period to add all possible files. All right. We have git status. Git status shows you what files will or will not be committed. Okay, that's git status. All right. So I want to type in git status again here. Okay, so this is what we want to commit. So we'll go back up to our commit section here. And yeah, over here, which we were kind of working on it. And we'll go ahead and type in git commit. Okay, so if we just type in git commit, it's going to try to open up the editor. So it actually opens up here. So what I want to do is just comment something here. So git commit. When we want to commit code, we can write git commit, which will open up the commit edit message in the editor of choice. And so this is already configured to open up in VS Code. If you're running this in your local machine, it would complain and say, hey, you have to set a default. Okay, so git config set default editor. Okay, so if we had to do that, I'm just going to look this up really quickly here. Editor. Normally you'd have to set it, right? So you'd have to first set that. Okay. And so this would be Emacs or whatever. Set the global editor. I don't know what it is for this. We could take a look and see what it is. I just hit Control-C to get out of that because I really don't want to do that right now. So let's go find where this is actually configured. So I believe that there is like a global Git folder somewhere. It's not there. Yeah, I'm not sure where it is. What if we type in git config? Could we see that? We type that in. I just want to see what is being set for the editor. So I'm not exactly sure. I just want to know what it is. So, you know, git editor VS Code default. I just want to know what that value needs to be. So that would be set as what? Oh, it's .git config. That's the file we're looking for. Okay, hold on. So this would probably be in our home folder. Let's try this again. So let's say code git config. Where's git config stored? Where is git config stored? Oh, we can just list it out. Okay. Let's see if that works. Okay. We'll go down here for a second. The git config file is what stores your global configurations for Git, such as email, name, editor, and more. Okay? So we'll go here, and I'm just going to say git config -- list. And that's showing the contents of our git config file. Still don't know where that file is, but at least we know what some things are set at. And so what I'm looking for in here is that editor. And it's not showing up. So what I'm thinking is that it already knows what to do, but it is setting our user.name and user.email. This is something that you would normally have to set. So I can go back to just git config here and customizing Git. And notice these are the first two things that they set, right? So when you first install Git on a machine, you are supposed to set up your name and email. Okay, and so those are the examples there. All right. So they're right here, and you can see that they already set it for us. But normally, you'd also have to set the editor, and it would complain. But for whatever reason, it knows to open it up already in VS Code here. So I'm going to go back up to here, and so that's going to open this up interactively. So I'm going to type in git commit, whoops, editor. Down below here, I'm going to type in, well, first I want to make sure I'm in that folder, that new project. Oh, you know what? I created that README in the wrong spot. Let's go back here for a second. Type in ls-la. And yeah, I didn't even make it in the right place. So remove that folder. We're going to remove the README file. New project. I'm going to type in clear. And I'm going to try this again. So we'll type in mkdir, or sorry, just touch readme.md. We'll open up this file. So code readmd. We'll just say hello world. Save that. We'll close that. And now we will type in git status. There is no git repo, so we'll type in git init. And then it's initialized an empty repo, so that's good. We'll type in clear. And then we will type in git status. And now it's not complaining about that itibus or that GitHub examples, because this is now in a subfolder, so it's not trying to add a submodule. So now we can do git add all. We could do git status. And now this file will be added. And we'll do git commit, which will open it up in here. And so now we can write our message. So let's just say add readme file. Okay, I'm going to save that and close it. Okay, and so now it completed it and it's created it. If I type in git status, you'll see it's gone. And so if I want to see the tree for this, I think I can type in git, git log? And it's going to show me that commit there. So if I added another one, it should show multiple commits here. So let's go ahead and modify that README file again. So I can just open it up again here. Code README. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this other tab out of the way and open a new tab and have it over here so we can make sense of what we're doing. I'm going to put another exclamation mark. So another way that we can commit is in line is by putting the M flag. So I'm going to type in git status. And then what I want to do is add that file. Okay, and type in git status again. And now I want to commit that change, this part here. And so what we can do is type in git commit, and now we'll type in -m, and I'll just say add another exclamation mark. All right, and don't worry about the spelling, I do not care, and I'm really bad at spelling. And here we'll type in git commit -m, add another exclamation. Okay, so make a commit and commit message without opening editor. And so what we'll do is go ahead and hit enter. And so that added there, we'll go ahead and type in git status. We'll do git log to see stuff. So we'll go here and say log. So git log will show recent git commits to the git tree. If we want to see more of the tree, I don't know what command it is. Like, is there git tree? I always forget. And the reason I don't remember is because often you're relying on these tools. So there's some stuff you should know here, and there's some stuff you should just utilize in here. But you should know the basis of git commit commands. Okay, so that's good. So we learned about git commit status, a few other things. Okay, and so if we wanted to take this project and push it up to GitHub, it shouldn't work because we don't have credentials, but technically this account or this environment is actually tied to GitHub, so it actually might work. How it would work, I don't know. Maybe we would add our personal access token, but we could just find out by trying to push. So what I'll do is go down here below and type in push. So when we want to push a repo to our remote origin, and so this would just be simply git push. This should not work because we don't have a repo to push to. Okay, and so we have to add a remote. So we can do git remote add origin and then put the name there. But we haven't created a repo, so there's nothing for it to go to. So even if we added a remote, it's not going to work. Okay, so this project here is done. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean this up. And we'll just go ahead and type in remove RF, new project. So that's going to give you some ideas what you can do there. So what I want to do is ls, and I want to go back into this one because this one has, a git folder. And let's just open that up really quickly so we can take a look at what's in there. So if we open this up, I typed in code. It opened it up in a new repo. I'm not really sure why. Try this again, code.git. I don't know why it's opening up in a new repo there. I guess it's confused. But it did work. The only problem with this is that it's opened up another developer environment. So in here, this is all the files that are in this. Why I couldn't do it over here, I don't know. But if we just take a look here closely, we have the config folder. And this is what I showed you earlier in those slides. This is how it knows what the origin is. This is how it knows how to push to main. We have some core configurations here. And there's some other stuff like we have head reference and stuff like that. I don't really want to get into all this stuff because it's just too much. But the most important thing to know is this config file because that's where these things are. And so if you ever get this stuff mucked up like your remote or origins or something's not working, you can fiddle with stuff in here. And that's all I wanted to point out here. So I want to just stop this this one here. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. There's some way to shut this one down. I'm just going to close it out and should stop it. With GitHub Codespaces, you got to really be aware of all the ones you're running because then you can run through your free hours very quickly. So I'm going to just see what's running. I'm going to see if I can just type in Codespaces up here. There we go. I just want to make sure that I'm only running one. Okay, and it looks like I'm just running one. So I think all it did was it opened the same running environment in another tab because it got confused, which is totally fine. But anyway, this file is now gone. And let's focus on this one. So we created this repo here, and technically, we should not be able to push up to it. Now, we might be able to because it might be storing our personal access token or some credentials, but technically it should not work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to add a file to this repo. Okay. Sorry, I don't want to lose this one. And see what happens when we try to push. Okay, so what we're going to do, make sure we're in this repo. We're going to type in touch readme.md, and then I want to open this one up. So I'm going to type in this here. I'm going to say hello world. We'll save that. And the idea is that this is the same repo as that other one. So actually we just technically edited this one. So you know what? I actually don't want to make this file here because I realize that's going to cause us a problem. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to ls here. I'm going to cd into git crash course, and I'm going to make a new file here. We'll just call it hello. So just say touch hello. Okay, and then we'll open up this file here. Oh, sorry, code, and then we'll say hello. All right, so it's not here because of course we're ignoring this. Okay, but if we type in ls-la, we have this hello file, right? And so if I type in git status, I can see that this file is untracked. So I want to add it and do git status, type in clear, and now I'm going to do a git push. So this should fail, but it still might work. Let's see what happens. And it says everything's up to date. And the reason why is that we didn't create a commit, right? If we do git log, you notice we don't have anything. This is the last one we ran. So I'm going to do git commit -m add hello file. Okay. And now I'm going to do git log so I can see that it's there, right? And now I'll do a git push. And it did work. So it probably worked because this environment already has this stuff loaded up. If I was using my local developer environment, this should not work. And I suppose I could show that. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to do that or not. Give me a second to think about it. Yeah, I think I really should show you this. So what I'll do is I'll open up VS Code on my local computer and we'll do that, okay? So my point is that even if you're not doing this, I just want you to watch and understand what you'd have to do if you're using your local developer environment. The trick with local developer environments is they're really finicky because, especially on Windows, because you have to get Linux installed and you need the Windows subsystem Linux, and that's such a pain to work with. So I'm here in VS Code. This is on my local computer. And what I want to do is I want to bring down that repo. And so what I'm going to do is just open up terminal. Okay. If I can find it any day now, here it is. And I need to store this somewhere. It's opening up in PowerShell, but I want to use Windows Subsystem Linux. Okay. And I'll give it a moment here. And so it's starting up Linux. And so here it's on my desktop in a folder called code. Okay, I'm just going to type in ls. Not sure what this is. But I normally like storing things in a folder called sites. So I already have one here. And the idea is I want to clone that repo into here. So what I'm going to do, just bring this over here for a second. All right, so this one was no good. I couldn't really show you this example here. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this one. And we'll just get this back to normal. Okay, typing that clear. And I'm going to go back over to here into our GitHub crash course so we can keep working on this. And I want to go back up to commits, or sorry, cloning. And I want to go ahead and attempt this clone that we were doing earlier. So this is mine, right? Of course, you'll have to switch this out for yours. So understand you can't just copy and paste this. You have to modify it. But I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here. And in my Linux system, I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. So I think I already have Git installed, right? And it's downloading it here, okay? So I've downloaded it because it's a public repo. But the question is, can I push to it? So I want to open this project up here in VS Code. I'm going to go ahead and type in code period. And that should reopen VS Code in this context. I'll get rid of this old one here out of the way. That was some other thing I was working on. I'm going to say I trust the authors. It's totally fine. And apparently there's a newer VS Code. I do not care. And it's opened up this entire directory. So I kind of messed that up. And I'm going to go to terminal again. So sorry. You can see I have a bunch of stuff in here. I'm going to cd into this by typing in GitHub examples. And we'll try this again. I'll type in code period. And then I'll close this one. All right. And then this time we now have our local developer environment in good shape. Okay. So just understand that you can connect GitHub code spaces to your local one. I don't want to do that. because I want this to be detached from Git so I can show you the challenges of cloning. So this has been cloned already. We already did that. And if I go over into terminal here, okay, new terminal, and I want to make sure I'm in WSL, which I am. I'm going to type in ls-la. I want to see that I have that .git directory here. And we're going to go ahead and modify this hello file. I'm going to put an exclamation mark. I'm going to hit save. And so the idea is I'm going to do git push, and I'm expecting it not to work. So it says, it doesn't work. Would you like to sign in with GitHub? No, I don't want to sign in with GitHub. Even though that's awesome, I don't want to do that. And the reason why is because I want to show you how you would use a personal access token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, bring this down, and I go back to GitHub, and we're going to go over to here, and we're going to go to settings, and then all the way down to the ground, we're going to go to developer settings, and we're going to click into personal access tokens, and we have a fine-grained access tokens. You don't need to use access tokens very often. This is just for this specific use case, but we're going to go ahead and generate this token. I'm going to say temporary token local dev. And I want this to expire in the least amount of time. So today is Sunday. I'm going to say tomorrow. This token is just for today. And I want this for a very specific repo. So you can say all repos. I'm going to say a select repo. I'm going to go here and select my one repo. And for repository permissions, I just want to be able to push this and work with it. Account permissions. So I just have to make sure I give this proper permissions. Pull requests, merges, issues. I'm trying to give it permissions to just push code. Push, commit. So I think we definitely want this, read and write. We want commit statuses, read and write. And I think that should be sufficient. I'd probably put pull requests in here as well. Before, GitHub used to just have like, you'd make a classic token, you wouldn't have to do all this, but they're trying to make it more secure, so that's how it is. And so I think this is sufficient. So I'll go ahead and create this token. And so I now have this token. So the idea is that when I'm over here, normally this would prompt us. It wouldn't do this. Oh yeah, we have the username up here. So it's asking us to enter our username in here. Normally this would prompt down here, but it's not. So I'm just going to hit clear. Okay, and I'm going to try this again. I'm going to say git push. And I'm saying cancel. And so it's prompting up here. If you're not using VS Code, it would normally show up here. But I'm going to type in my username like this. And now it's asking for a password. And before you could put your actual password in here, you can't do that anymore. You have to use this personal access token. So if I got those permissions right, this should work. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in, hit enter. And so now it says everything up to date. So did it push? That's what I want to know. So we'll go back over to here. And if we click here, we can go, down here. I'm looking for how to find this repo. There was a button here before. Why can't I find it? Maybe it's over here. No. That's fine. But we want to go ahead and look at that repo. So I'm going to go and type in Andrew, WC Brown. And I wanted to look at our only repo that we have. And I want to see if those commits work. So if I click in here, we have add hello file. And that didn't do anything. So maybe it's because we didn't add anything. Let's go get status here. Get status. We have to add it if we want it to work, right? It was like git commit update. And then I'm going to type in git push. And so it's trying to log in. So every single time we want to push, it's going to ask us for that because it doesn't remember what it is. We can technically cache those credentials. I'm not sure what the flag is. I've never had to ever have to do it. But there is some way to cache it. But I'm going to just hit cancel because I just want to show you how to use that personal access token, okay? And then I'll go back there and grab that. I think we still have it there. Good. Okay. I'm going to go back to our local VS Code. I'm going to paste this in. hit enter. And so now it pushes, okay? So it's pushed it there. And so that's one example of us doing that, okay? We'll just confirm that it's there. We can see it right there. So that's one method of cloning. So go back over to here to our documentation in GitHub Codespaces. So here we'll just say you'll need to, you'll need to generate a GitHub access token. Or sorry, personal access token. And we'll go grab that link so we know where that is. So it's right here. Okay. So this is a beta feature, but I can't imagine they'll revert that. You will use the PAT as your password when you log in. And the permissions, we were, give it. I think we need that, all right? So that's one way. Another way is with SSH. Okay, so what we'll do is I want to get rid of this token because I don't need it anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And I want to go back to our repo, which is over here. And we want to clone this via the SSH. And because I can't trust GitHub, because I think it's the GitHub Codespaces, it already has our credentials somewhere, we're going to have to do it this way. So I want to CD back here. I'm going to remove this directory. Okay, clear. And I want to clone it again. And so this time I'm going to grab the SSH. If we go over here, we'll paste this link in here. And it looks really similar, but this is not the same link. SSH. Okay, and then we'll want to CD into that. So the difference here is that, look at this. This says HTTPS is the protocol. This one puts this stuff in the front. So it's a different protocol and URL for cloning. So we'll go ahead and copy this, and we'll go down below. I'm going to paste this in and hit enter. Okay, so it can clone because it's a public repo. If this was a private repo, we would have to already have our credentials set. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and we want to reopen this. So it should know this is the same thing, but because we deleted that repo, it's confused. So I'm going to go into GitHub examples, and I'm going to reopen this up in VS Code. It'll open up a new window. Not sure what's taking it so long. Okay, it just auto-detected it, so I guess it didn't have to do that. It's fine. But we'll open this file up again, and I'm going to put an exclamation mark on the end. And so I'm going to do git status. Right? Again, we can do it over here or refresh it, but I'd rather do it from here. So that's not there. I'm going to say git add readme or period. Now let's refresh it. Notice it moved to stage changes, and then we can do git commit -m update SSH way. All right, and it pushed. How did it do that? Because it's not supposed to work. So it makes me think that that personal access token's still there. Okay. Oh, no. It didn't push. It didn't push. The reason I'm confused is that notice that this said push. So when we go here, this will let us commit and push sometimes, but we've only just committed it locally. Okay, so if I type in git status, all right, it's here. Okay. It's not remotely there, okay? So in order to actually get it up, we have to type in git push. So that's a separate action. So we'll go ahead and type in git push. So now it should complain. And so it says rejected. And the reason why it's rejected is because we don't have an SSH key. So what we'll need to do is generate out an SSH key. And the way we do that is we type in SSH keygen -t, I believe it is. and we type in RSA to be specifically what it's for. We can even say the length of it. This is a Linux command. Most Linux distributions should have this pre-installed, so you can definitely do it. The place that you would put this key would be in a very specific location. So I already have a default one, and I'm going to rename it to something else, but you can leave it as a default if you want, if you've never ran this command in your life. But I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Oh, you know what? It's keygen SSH, or keygen. SSH keygen? I forgot what it is already. Keygen SSH. It's SSH keygen, okay. So go back here. I'm type in SSH keygen TRSA. Okay, and it's saying where do you want to create it? It will usually create it here. I want this to be named a little bit different. I'm just going to say GitHub alt. And then I'm going to say ID RSA. Okay. And then I'm going to hit enter for no passphrase. A passphrase is a way to password protect it. I don't want to do that. You don't always have to do that, but it makes it more secure. Notice that it generated out both the private key and the public key. We're going to talk about key pairs later in the course. I made sure to cover this. They didn't make it a requirement in the guide or the certification course, but I know you need to know this, so I made sure to put that in there. So we've generated out this private and public secret, and they're located here. So we're going to need to get the contents of this one and send it over to GitHub. So the way we can do that is we can just grab this URL or write this out and cat it out. So cat is a way in Linux to print out to the terminal. And so I'm going to type this full path. I'm hitting tab to quickly complete this so I don't have to write it all out by hand. And I'm looking for GitHub, alt, ID RSA. It's kind of not showing me all the files, so I'm going to just go ahead and type this here for a second. Okay. And weird, it's not there. So it says tsrsa, enter the file in which to save it. Oh, it didn't actually save it here. Did it save it over here? It did. All right, I don't want it here. I'll try this again. So we'll hit up because it wants the full path, that's why. And so we'll do this again. We'll say home, Andrew, SSH. I'm going to say alt, GitHub, underscore ID, RSA. Enter, enter, enter. So now it's where we think it is. So it's actually here. I'm going to copy this. And we'll type in cat and we'll paste this in. And that's going to give us this funky looking thing. So this is the contents of the public key. And I need to copy that. So I'm going to just do this and write copy. I did Control C because I couldn't right click it. And I'm going to go back up to here. And then in GitHub, we got to add that to our account. So I'll go to settings. And I'll go over to SSH. And I'm going to add a new SSH key. And I'm just going to say, paste this in here. I'll just say local environment. You might even say what computer this is from. You might have multiple computers with local developer environments. So I'm on my Windows machine, so Windows local. And you know, we have two things here. I believe it's an authentication key, and we'll put that in there. So this should allow us to now push, okay? Because it'll match the private and public key out. I explained in the course how it works, like the logic behind it. But this should work, assuming I set it right. So what I'll do is I'll type in git status because we should have something ready to push, right? So notice it says here, your branch is ahead of origin by one commit. So we have one commit that hasn't been pushed yet. We'll go ahead and hit git push. And if we did it correctly, it should work. And so I did something wrong. What I did wrong, I'm not 100% sure. So we can try that again. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up here. Because this format might matter. It might be in the wrong format, but I'm pretty sure it should just be this. Give this a refresh here. It says never used. I'll try this one more time. Maybe it takes time. Sometimes it's finicky like that. Nope. So if it didn't like that, I'll try signing. I don't remember there being two key types before, so I'm a little bit confused myself, and I don't remember this stuff off the top of my head. If we copy this wrong, that could be the issue as well. But we really want to copy the public key, okay? Notice it says begins with RRSH or that. Okay, so I'll paste this in. It's definitely the right format, so I'm not sure why it doesn't like it. Windows local. We'll try this again. Okay. And we'll go back over to our local environment and we'll say git push. Still doesn't work. Yeah, I don't think it's the signing key. We'll try this one more time. New. Paste. And like that doesn't seem like that's the problem, right? Maybe it's supposed to have a space. Let's go back and take a look at VS Code. This has a space in between it, okay? This has a space. Okay, so SSH keygen, key not working, GitHub. And it's not uncommon to have issues, like it just happens to me sometimes. Sometimes we can test it out. We don't have to set the origin because we cloned it, eh? That should be fine. I'm not really worried about that. SSH keygen GitHub, because maybe they might tell us, like give us an example, and then maybe I entered it in wrong. Maybe it wants it in a very particular format. Because it can be finicky. Give me just a second, okay? So I'm not sure if we have to do this, but maybe we need to add the SSH or the key to our SSH agent. I remember doing this one time, but normally it usually picks up anything that's in that directory. So I'm actually kind of surprised. But if that's the case, let's go ahead and just explicitly set it. So let's give that a go. And so we'll just hit up here. And I'm just going to go ahead and type in SSH add. And add your SSH private key. Okay. And that's just RSA there, like that. We'll hit enter. Could not open a connection to your authentication agent. Just a second. It's suggesting to run this line. Again, I'm kind of getting the territory of like doing anything, which I don't really like. The SSH program runs in the background to hold your private keys, keeps them ready use by SSH. Okay, well, let's try this. And again, this is why I don't like showing local development because it's so finicky. It's a lot easier on a Mac, but I can't share my screen on a Mac. So, I mean, you could, but it's very difficult for me to do so. So now we've added the identity, and I'm hoping that now this will work. There are debug commands that you can use. So like GitHub SSH debug. Like here, there is like this you could run. So attempts to connect to SSH to see if it works. So we could use that and give it a test. We'll go back over here, right, and hit enter. Hi, I'm King. You successfully authenticated, but GitHub does not provide shell access. So that's one way we could test. That's a good command to know. We'll go here and just say, put this here. We can test our connection here. We will need to create our own SSH key pair, RSA key pair. So that'd be SSH keygen T RSA. For WSL users, and if you create a WSL users, and if you create a key in a different if you create a non-default key, you might need to add it. So that was us running that like this here. So that might fix that issue for us. This is for testing our connection. So that's telling us that we can push. Okay. And so what I want to do is go back over to here and let's see if we can push. Git push. Fingers crossed. And normally what happens the first time you add something, it's going to add it to the keyring. Usually it asks us to say yes, but it's still not working. So, I mean, that might establish a connection that we can reach. You successfully authenticated, but does not provide shell access. Okay. So our key's still not working. We have permission denied. Are we pushing to the right repo? Yeah, we are. It looks like we are. One thing we could do is check that hidden folder. It's not showing them here. There's some way to show hidden folders in Git. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Give me 2 seconds. I'm being told the hotkey is Control-Shift-G, Control-Shift-G. If you're on a Mac, it might be Control-G. That didn't work for me. I tried it. What is it? Command-Shift, period. Control-Shift, period. Nope, no good. So we'll just go to our settings and open it up. Hidden files. Come on, show hidden files. I just want to see them. Show hidden files. Files exclude. Preference settings. Files. Yeah, so I want to see that. There we go. So it's hiding some of them. The reason I want to go here is check the config. I want to make sure that we're going to ours, because if you try to push to mine, let's say you cloned mine, it would not work because you can't push to mine. You don't have permission to do so. But I should have permission to push to my own. Here's another question. When I upload those keys, what account was I in? Okay, I'm in the correct account. So this is the one that I'm supposed to be in. Is it though? Because I might have had another tab open. Let's make sure we're 100% in the right location. We are here. I'm going to go to SSH keys. It's not here. You know what I think I did? I might have added it to the other account. Or we deleted it and we didn't add it back in. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. Windows local. You really have to think these things through and think, okay, check, 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 check. All right. And so what I want is that SSH key again. I think it's going to work this time. Okay. I don't want to add it. I just want to cat it. Okay. And we'll go back up here and we'll paste it in and we'll hit add the key. And now this time I think it's going to work. Git push. Excellent. Okay, great. So that's now done. I want to go back here. I'm going to delete the repo again because we have one more way that we can do it. Okay. And the last way is going to be with the GitHub CLI. So I'm on local, so I might as well just go ahead and install it. I'm going to delete this key because I don't want to have it. I want to see if it will work without a personal access token or without SSH so that we can attempt to log in. So what I want to do here is I want to install that. And I believe that it would use brew or whatever. So type in GitHub CLI install. And we'll go here. And it's going to be different based on what you use. So if you have Homebrew installed, you can use Homebrew. If it's Linux, it's going to be different. I'm looking for Ubuntu in particular. So Debian and Ubuntu are basically the same way of installing it. And I think that we could probably just do it this way. So we need to do a sudo app update. I guess I have to put my password in here. Is this my password? Like, I don't know. Yep, that was my password. And so that's doing an update. Once that's done, it will do the next step. So I'm going to go grab this here. We're going to go back over to GitHub Codespaces. Let's close this one out. I guess we never saved it. That's why it didn't work. And so our third way is GitHub CLI. Install the CLI. Okay. e.g. Ubuntu for Linux. Okay, so Ubuntu in this particular case. I believe this is Ubuntu and that's Ubuntu. So they're both Ubuntu. And I'm going to grab the next line here and we'll paste that in. That's going to install it. Could not locate the package. If it couldn't locate the package, it probably doesn't know where the package is. So I have to go back over to here. And so this adds the source. That's what it wants. So I'm going to just go grab this whole darn thing. This is all the same command. No, it's not, but we'll grab the whole thing. And this will actually install all of it in one go. Paste. You can actually see that it's doing an update and then it's installing it here. So I'll go back here and update our docs. A bit messy. Okay. And so once that's installed, we'll have to do a couple things. We'll have to do gh login, and then we'll have to do gh clone and get that link. We'll go grab it from our repo. So go here, we'll go to code, we'll go to CLI, we'll grab this, and we'll bring this on up here. And I'm going to do GP. Well, I want to paste that into our example here. I think it's GH clone. Okay, GH login. Now we technically don't need to log in for this to work. Should be, oh, I think it's GH auth login. That's probably why. There we go. GitHub. Oh, we're going to choose a method. HTTPS. Authenticate with your GitHub credentials. Yeah, I thought it was going to just do something for us, but apparently it's going to have to rely on something like that. So if that's the case, I think what I would rather do is use the SSH key. So I just hit Control-C to log out of that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to go back and put that SSH key back in because we deleted it. It doesn't matter if you see mine because you can't see my private key. So you really shouldn't show anyone your public key, but it's not going to hurt that you see mine. I'm going to go back over to here and add it again, I guess. We're going to go down to here. We're going to add that SSH key, Windows local. Okay. And then I'm going to go back over to here. We'll type in clear. I want to just update the docs so that it says auth here. We'll save that. We'll bring this back up. We'll type in clear. And I want to do GH auth login. And we'll log in with GitHub, we'll use SSH, and we'll tell it which key to use, which is pretty cool. And the title for your SSH key, well, why do I need to upload it? Title for your SSH key. Oh, it'll actually upload it for us. Oh, that's cool. Okay, clear it. Let's go back. I didn't know it could do that. We'll go ahead and hit delete. And we'll try this again. GH login. That's really cool. I like that. And we'll say SSH. I also wonder if it would generate out your token for you. So we'll use this one and we'll say Windows local. And we'll log in with a web browser. First, copy this one-time code into your browser. Press enter to open github.com in your browser. Okay, I'll hit enter. And I'm going to log in with this. We'll enter that code in. We'll continue. And we'll authorize it. And so now we're logged in, okay? So we can now use GitHub to clone the CLI, and we'll go back over to here, okay? And we'll copy this, and we'll go back over to here, and we'll paste this in, and we should be able to clone. So maybe I typed that command wrong. It doesn't look right. It looks like it's doubled in here. I'll try this again. We'll hit enter. Sorry. Try this again. That's not working. So I'm doing something wrong. Let's go back over to our docs. Have it in here double. And, oh, maybe it's like GitHub repo clone. That's probably what it is. There we go. And so we clone the repo. All right, we'll cd into that directory as per usual. We'll go in here and just say hello. Git add all, git commit, say it's GitHub CLI way, and we'll say git push, oops, git push. And that worked. Okay, so that's all of our ways that we can do it locally. I'm pretty much done with this. I'm going to close it out. And so we've learned all the ways here. So that's pretty sweet. This git repo clone. So that's good. We learned about commits. Okay. Learned about adding. We haven't learned about branching. So branching is pretty straightforward. We're going to be doing a lot of branching, so I don't feel like I have to do a lot here right now. But what we can do here is we can type in git branch to get a list of branches. So a list of branches. Okay, and we can go ahead and create ourselves a new branch. So I'm going to go ahead and type in git branch and then type a name. So I'll say dev, and I'll hit enter. So create a new branch. Branch name. If I type in git branch, I can get a list of them. Okay. And so I can check out that branch. So we'll say check out the branch. Git branch, or sorry, git checkout dev. Git checkout dev. And notice I'm in dev. This highlighting stuff here will not be in your local terminal. You might have to install something or additional, or in VS Code it may or may not show up. Just understand that this is preloaded with some stuff in here. So we're in dev right now. We're actually in a different branch. So I'm going to do git. I want to change this file here. So go ahead and just change it. Where is it? Refresh. Oh, you know, the thing is that we've been making changes, but we haven't been doing them in here. So if I do git fetch for a second, you'll notice that origin main is, there's more going on here than you think. And so by doing fetch, we can actually see if we're out of date or not. And so my issue right now is there's that file, I don't have access to it, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it again. I'm gonna say hello here. And I'll say branch version. Okay. And I'm going to do git status. And so we have that there. So what we can do is go ahead and go git add all. And I'll say git commit -m changes. Okay. And now what I want to do is git push and push that branch. And right away, you're going to notice that it's not going to work. And the reason why is that branch does not have a remote. Right? That's really important because if it doesn't have a remote reference, it's not going to be able to push. And there is no branch in our GitHub repo right now. If we go back to our repo, mine is listed over here. Remember, your name is different than my name, so type yours. GitHub examples. We'll just go here. Into here. You know, I have a branch here. It should, well, we don't have one yet. We haven't created one yet. So that's one thing that we need to make note of. So the thing is, and the other thing is like, have we been making these changes this entire time? Yeah, we have. But anyway, so yeah, we have a branch that's locally, but we don't have one that exists yet. And so the idea is that we can either create the branch and then push to it, or we can basically run this command and do it in one go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is type in git push, and I'm actually going to type in u because that's a much shorter version of this. I'm going to type in origin dev. Okay, and now it is tracking our dev to the remote dev. If we go over here, this branch might exist now. Okay, and if we drop down, you can see dev is there. We haven't pushed anything into it. If you go to commits, our new commit's not there yet, right? If we go to main, you'll notice main is over here, right? My point is that we need to, for this to work, we'll need to push this change. So we have this one file, and I'm going to go ahead and say git status. Okay. Oh, did we actually push it? Oh, I think we accidentally pushed it. So maybe we did make that change. Yeah, we did. It's over here. Okay, sorry. So I thought we had not pushed it yet, but we did. Now the question is, how do we visualize this in a way that is easy to read? And that's where we would have an extension. Normally there's one installed, like in Gitpod, they'll have it pre-installed, but apparently this one doesn't. So what we'll do is go to extensions. We'll type in git tree. Okay, because I want to be able to see what we're doing. And there's git graph. So git graph is the one I usually use, I think. We'll go ahead and install that. There's another one. I'm not sure, like git lens. Some of these can get pretty crazy, so I try to keep it really simple. Git history. Yeah, we'll stick with git graph. And so once git graph is installed, if we go over to here, we should have a new icon up here. And so I don't see it. Sometimes down below it'll be down here. So I can click this. No, that doesn't help either. And so maybe what we need to do is reload our environment for it to show up. I'm going to hit refresh on here and just hit enter. And so hopefully what this will do is load it up again so we can see that. Because I want to see that git graph. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Okay. It's telling me it didn't exist because I hit a refresh there. Okay, I'll open up code spaces because it seems like it's confused right now. This one's running. Open in browser. We'll try this again here. Give it a moment to reopen. What do you mean it doesn't exist? It's right here. You're crazy. We have it open. So it's saying it doesn't exist, but we clearly have it open. But it's opening the .git directory. Okay, let's cd back for a second. What is going on? Oh no, I really don't want to lose my changes. I don't think I'm going to because everything's pushed. But this is where it's kind of acting weird. Again, I don't use GitHub's code spaces. I prefer Gitpod, but this one's acting a little bit funny. And so in this case, I'm not 100% sure what to do because it does exist here. So what I'm going to do is stop this code space. Okay, I'm going to start it up again. And maybe what this will do is it will unjank it. Okay. So I'll be back here once it stops and then restarts. It takes a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, it shows me this button. I'm going to hit restart code workspace and hopefully this will resolve our issue. It's saying the workspace does not exist. The terminal process failed to launch the starting directory. So it's getting confused. I don't know what's going on here, but this workspace is defunct. So what I'm going to do is, again, stop this workspace. We'll open up code spaces. I'm going to stop this one. And I'm going to delete it because it's not really doing what I wanted to do. I'm not going to lose anything because everything we worked on, we should have pushed at this point. But yeah, you just got to be careful with code spaces because it kind of acts a little funny. But we'll go back over here. And what I'm going to do is I actually want to open up this branch. We have the two branches, but I want to open up code spaces in this branch. I'm going to go ahead and drop this down. I'm going to say, create a code space on dev. Okay. And so hopefully we don't run into any more issues. It looks like it's losing all my settings, so it's not persisting them. There are ways to persist them. Syncing settings. There's an option, I think, here. If we go into here, because this is going to drive me crazy if we don't do this. And we'll say automatically detect, not dot files, but sync settings. So I'm going to click this, and I'm hoping that what this will do is anytime we change branches or stuff, it's going to remember my settings because I don't want to keep changing them. So I'm going to go here, and it should be syncing settings now. I'm going to go and change my theme again. And I'm going to go over to settings. I'm going to go to, I'll change the font size to 20 here. 20 was a bit too large. We'll say terminal font here. I'll change this to 18. Okay. And so I also want to make sure that my extension's installed. So I'll try this again. Personally, I think they should have this pre-installed. That's the other one. So there's git log graph and git graph. I'm going to install both of these because I actually like both of them, to be honest. And we can add this to our dev container. Yeah, make a new dev container. I don't know, make an empty dev container. I want whatever the base one is. Base bare bones. I just want the configuration. I'm going to go ahead and just say bare bones Ruby here. Sure. And just say, okay, I don't want that. So I'm just trying to create this file in here so it knows to remember our extensions for this repo. I'll go back and do that also for here. It should remember it, but in case it doesn't, I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to go modify the dev container. This is also something we're going to learn about later on. I don't want to build anything, so I'm just going to take this out here and I'm just going to take this out as well. Just say basic config. Git graph. I don't see the other one added there. I'm going to go back over here and try this again. Git graph. Add to dev container. There, they're both added there. But the reason I'm doing that is I really want to get these tools in here. So now they're here. They show up here and they show up down below. So this is one of them. We'll open that up. It's before I made a pull request. And there's the other one. So I just want to show you there's more than one kind of tool that you can visualize this stuff. And sometimes they give you different information. And so right now we're here, we're in dev, okay? And we added those couple changes over here. And the idea is that we branched over here. So this doesn't know about these changes and vice versa. And we got a whole lot going on here, okay? And so this is where we get into things like merging. So if we want to bring dev up to date with main, which we really should do, we should merge main into dev, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm in dev, I'm going to type in git merge main. And sorry, I should note that there's origin main and then main. So that there's what's on origin, there's what's on our local main. And so our local main might not have this stuff. Okay. If we go over here, it's a bit more clear because it shows them as separate things. So our head shows us exactly where we are right now. We have origin dev, origin main. So I'm going to do a git fetch because I want to know where we are right now. And it looks like we're all up to date, so we're fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in git merge main. And it's saying, did you mean to merge? No, I wanted to merge main. And so it looks like we don't have a local branch of main. Okay, so what I'm going to do is type in git checkout main. Okay, and so now if we go back up here, maybe there's some way to refresh this, like a refresh button. Notice there's two now. Okay, so before I didn't even know there was a main. I did check out and immediately it said there was no main branch, but it said, oh, you have one on origin main. We'll just add it here. And now it's here. Okay, so now we have a main and I can go back to dev and I'm just going to do git fetch. It's just out of habit. And so now we see both of them here. Okay. So now I'm going to do git merge main. It says we have a conflict. Okay. And the reason why is that we went ahead and we changed readme and that other file, and they exist there as well. And so sometimes you have to resolve conflicts. Okay. So it says auto merging, merging conflict, automatic merge failed, fix the conflictions in order to complete this here. And so normally what happens if you pull, or sorry, if you try to do a pull or you try to merge and there's a conflict, you have to resolve it. And so notice right away that now we have new files over here. This wasn't here before. If we go here, we can see, type in git status, it wants us to resolve it. And the message is a little bit different here. It says you have unmerged paths. So we got to fix this here. And so it's showing us in this file, we have two versions. Which one do you want to keep? The top one or the bottom one? And so I'm going to just take the top part and take out this part because we don't want that committed. And so these, it had no problem. And so what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and add this. And we're basically just adding everything at this point. So I'm going to say git add all. And then I'm going to say git commit. And in this case, you do not want to put a git commit message in here because it needs to put its own in here. I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to open, and this is the merge message. It has to be this. You don't ever set this. So notice I typed in git commit, and it also filled it in here. And so all I'm going to do is close this, and now it's merged it. So if we go back over here, now we can see it represented. Okay, so We took that and we brought that up to date, right? Okay, so and the reason we want to do that is so that when we merge back into main, we don't have to deal with conflicts. You really don't want to deal with conflicts merging into main. You want to deal with those conflicts in your branch before you merge back into main, okay? So that's good. Now what we can do is, now that we're all up to date, we can continue to work on our README file. So I don't need this Docker file. This wasn't supposed to be here, but that's a great opportunity for us to delete it because I don't want to launch up a Ruby environment. So what I'm going to do is type in git remove. Well, first I want to, git remove Docker file. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this here. We'll just delete this permanently. So if we go over here, this should show up here. Yeah, we can do that. I think we could have just typed in, if we delete the file, it would show up there anyway, but git remove is a bit funny because you can have files you want to remove from tracking that are in your repo to say, stop tracking this forever. Or if there's previous versions of it, and there's removing the file. So we'll just delete it now. We'll keep it simple. So I'm going to say git add, and we'll say git commit -m remove Docker file. We don't want to build a Ruby environment. So this, I have to put a single comma there. So I need to point out that like we can rebuild our code space, and then it would build that Docker file, but we'd have to manually do that because it won't do that until we rebuild it manually. But anyway, so we have that change there. And I'm going to go ahead and do a git push. And we go back and take a look. And we can see that this is now pushed up to date. It wasn't pushed there a moment ago. And so now main's starting to get out of date. But let's go over to our README file in our crash course. And what I want to do here, so I want to do a bit more documentation. So we'll go down here below. And so we can add remotes. But often you will just add remotes when you are doing, via upstream when adding a branch. So it'd be get branch u origin new feature. But you could do it like a get remote add. I rarely ever do that, so I don't feel like really covering that here. That would be something I would actually cover in a proper Git crash course. I don't know if we really need to do stashing right now. We could leave it or take it. Git merge main. So git checkout dev git merge main. Okay. So I feel like we've done a lot here. I don't want to overload you folks. I think I'll just show you stashing really quick. So let's say I wanted to work on something else and I just wanted to move this to a side and come back to it later. What I can do is add all the files so it's staged. Git status, okay? And I could just stash these for later. So I type in git stash, and what that will do is it will put it in I'll just put it somewhere. Okay, it'll put it in my stash, and if I type in git stash list, it's here in my stash. Okay, and I can bring it back and say git stash pop and pop it off the stash and bring it back. You wouldn't want to do this in a cloud developer environment because you could lose changes, but if you're in a local developer environment, you might just have stashes and just hold on to them for a long time. But a lot of times you need to move things out of the way. But usually you want to name your stash. So you'll say git stash save and then say readme changes. So we know exactly what it is. And then we can do git stash list and see what's there. And then we can say git stash apply. And instead of popping it, it'll just apply the last one. So there are some commands there that are useful. So we have git stash list, git stash save my name, and then git stash apply. I'll pop, and we apply, and then we have git stash pop. Okay, so those are really useful. I use them all the time. Again, I'm hoping that as we go through this course, we'll run into scenarios where we need to use them. But I do actually want to add this, so I'm going to go ahead and git commit -m minor updates. I'm just going to refresh this, make sure I have that latest one there. Sometimes you miss them. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I just want to show you what the graph looks like. So you can see, it even shows the stashes as well. And dev's in front of it. We're going to do git push. Okay. Now let's say we wanted to do a pull request. That's something we're going to learn later in more detail, but I'm going to just do it really quickly. A common thing that you should do is open up pull requests. So I'm kind of done with this workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and just close it out because I think the rest of this we don't need to do in here. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Okay. We can leave it in this state if we decide to come back to this, but I'm going to just stop it for now. And I want to go back to our repo. GitHub, Angie Brown, and we'll go to our repo, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a new pull request. So I'll go here, I'm going to create a new pull request, and I want to have the pull request come from dev into this one. It's showing me everything. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I'm going to go here and go from dev into main, and from Andrew Brown into Andrew Brown. I want to be into my own. I want to merge, I want to make a pull request into my own. There we go, it's simplified. That's what you should see. And so what I'll go ahead and do is hit create pull request. And the idea is that this will be an opportunity for people to review it. So will you accept my code, right? And then the idea is that somebody is supposed to review it. Now, because I'm the only one in my own repo, I'm just going to merge it myself and confirm that. And so the idea is that that is now merged. If we were in GitHub, we would see that that was now merged into main, okay? All right. So now what I want to show you is just the last thing is I just want to show you how I would bring these changes into my fork. So I'm going to switch back into my other account. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go into my pull request. And I'm going to create a new pull request. And I'm going to make a pull request from main from this GitHub account into the Exampro one, the base one. I'm going to go ahead and create this pull request. I'm not telling you to do this. Please don't do this because I don't want to deal with a bunch of pull requests. But this will be documentation changes, documentation for GitHub, Git crash course. I think I called this like GitHub crash course, which it should be really Git crash course. Show me the basics of Git. Okay, so go ahead and create that pull request. All right. And the thing is, like, I can't merge it from here because I don't own that other one. So what I'll do is switch over to this. And now I'm going to go and see that there's a pull request. And it's coming in from Andrew Brown. Oh, how nice of this person. And I'm going to go take a look here. And I can see that they have some changes. And I can go and review their code and then ask them to make fixes. I can go here and say, hey, do this, do that. And then I might accept it. But I'm going to go ahead and approve it. I don't need to approve it here because there's no required reviewers for this. But I'll just say it's approved. And then we'll go over to code. And I'm going to go ahead and, pull requests. I'm going to go ahead and merge this stuff in because I want this stuff. Okay. And we'll merge that in. And now it's merged. Just one other thing. I want to see if I actually named this right. Git crash course. Yeah, it's named right. Okay, great. And so there's our stuff. That's all the stuff we learned. Was this a mess? Yes. Could I have taught this a lot better if I organized it? Yeah, but I got to record the rest of the course. And again, you know, if I'm going to make a proper Git crash course, I'll do it somewhere else. But I just want to get you the basics, and hopefully that was helpful. We wasted a lot of time on cloning, but that's something that's really important to know how to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.